Alright, Metroid fans, it's time for me to give you guys my spoiler-free first impressions of this game. And I gotta say, I have been enjoying it, but like it says in the thumbnail, I do think there's several reasons why it's really gonna divide the fandom, maybe even more so than it already is. And so, I got this game digitally at about 11 p.m. my time. And then I've been playing it up until what is right now 4:13 a.m. at the time I'm recording this audio. So I've got a good 5 hours into this game. I'm about 20% into it or so from the items and stuff. And like I said, I'm not going to go over spoilers, so I'm just going to be showing footage of the trailer. So if you still want to play the game and experience it for yourself, don't worry. I'm not going to ruin anything for you. I'm going to try to, basically tell you my impressions, but also try to be as vague as possible. So, first off, I gotta say, the game is absolutely gorgeous. I am playing on the 4K setting, and you have, either that option or you could do 120 frames per second. Let me know what you guys pick and what you think of the two options, but right now I'm going on the 4K setting, and I gotta say, the trailers don't do this game justice. This is probably the best looking game I've ever seen from Nintendo. Graphically, I think it's the best looking Nintendo game ever. And again, when it started up, I was just like, holy crap, this just looks gorgeous. The opening sequences of the game, the tutorials, is just good sci-fi goodness, really, really creepy vibes. The story is a bit convoluted right now. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. But to be fair, there's a lot going on with the lore and the phase-on and all that stuff with the original Metroid Prime trilogy. And so you kind of have to give it some time to piece all this together and figure out what exactly is going on. I don't think the first 5 hours of the game are going to, really give me a good sense of whether or not I'm going to like it by the end of the game. And so, yeah, I just got to give that some time. But the gameplay feels smooth. What's interesting is I think people are worried about this game feeling like a traditional Metroid Prime game. Does it feel like Metroid? Well, sometimes yes, and sometimes no. It's very clear, with the Viola bike, they're trying to do new things. It's very clear that with the psychic abilities, they're trying to do new things. And even with the Federation troopers, they're trying to bring in another audience. Now, I will say, I do think Miles McKenzie, the guy at the beginning, personally, it feels like his role in this was overblown. With that being said, you might find him extremely annoying, and you might find it you just can't get past him. Again, you interact with him for about 15-20 minutes, towards the early part of the game, and for the most part after that, you're pretty much on your own. Now, again, I haven't completed the game yet, but I'm just giving you my first impressions. And so he was not really all that involved outside of Fury Green, outside of, that openings part of Euros. And so I think people are being a little overreactive there, but to me, I still find him to be annoying. I understand what everybody's saying about isolation. I love the feeling of isolation in Metroid. To me, that is a core element of what makes a Metroid game. And when he is just going off with his corny millennial humor in my ear, I did giggle a couple times, but most of the time I'm like, can you please just shut up and let me enjoy this world? Again, Arlo brought this up in one of his videos, and it was a really, really great point. Just imagine a character like Miles McKenzie talking to you, talking your ear off as you're first landing on Talon Overworld. It would just kill the vibe, Would it ruin Metroid Prime as a whole? Of course not. It wouldn't ruin the entire game. But if he was at the beginning of the game running his mouth as you're landing on Talon 4, yeah, that'd be a little bit annoying, and I would always kind of roll my eyes whenever I'd go and replay that scene. Ultimately, he is a little bit annoying, but it's over with pretty quickly. Now, what I will say, and I don't think this is a spoiler, I don't think so, but he is someone that you can reference and talk to later on. Basically he works as a hint system. You know how you would talk with the organic supercomputers in Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. They would basically give you hints and let you know where you need to go next. Miles does that a little bit too. Now, what's nice is you most of the time have to reach out to him yourself. So if you kind of want to just ignore him and pretend that he isn't there, you could do that to a pretty good extent. Now, the music in this game is just flat out awesome. That feels like Metroid, no questions asked, and so they absolutely killed it. It's interesting because there's a balance between the feeling of isolation and working alongside of the Federation and different characters and that sort of thing. And so, guys, I am enjoying the game. Do I think you would enjoy the game? Who the hell knows? I think this is going to be a very divisive Metroid game because I know they said that they don't care about sales. But to me, that sounds like cope. I think Nintendo is trying to reach a bigger audience. I think they would like, of course, they would like Metroid to be a 10 million seller, a 20 million seller. It's probably never going to be that. But of course, they'd like it to be that, and they want to give, opportunities for this franchise to expand. I know several friends who are picking up Metroid Prime 4 who didn't play any of the Metroid Prime trilogy. And so, yeah, like the music, graphics are great. There is a lot of interaction with the Federation. I gotta say though, the bike is absolutely sick. And the area where you first get it, man, they really, that was a good length to that level where you get that bike. And that was just fun. The music was dope. It was really immersive, just kind of the visual storytelling with the world as you're getting that bike. It was super cool. And at this point, I'm over any criticisms of Samus on a motorcycle. My concerns at this point are more so just like the oversaturation with Samus talking with other characters. There's a little too much talking for a Metroid game. I'm not saying there isn't talking, or there shouldn't be talking at all, because some people who are new to the fandom or who have clearly not played that many Metroid games are acting like there's never any talking in Metroid and there shouldn't ever be any talking in Metroid games. That's ridiculous. That's not always the case. But with that being said, if you're trying to get a certain vibe and if you want to feel lonely on a distant planet with Samus, then you can only have so much interaction. And if a lot of the characters you're interacting with are going to be quirky, almost Marvel-sounding characters, that's really going to take me out of it. And so there's only a couple within the Federation who are like that. Is it enough to ruin the game for me? Not even close. I mean, I am really enjoying this game. I don't think it's not my favorite so far. It's not my favorite Metroid Prime game, but it looks so good. The music's great. I think the motorcycle was ultimately a home run. I know that's going to be controversial, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. I'm not saying that I'm objectively correct on this. Just for me, I was like, this is cool. I get this. This is really fun. I'm enjoying this so much. Like, it's one thing to see the motorcycle visually on the trailers, but man, when you're actually playing it and you get that sensation of doing that power slide and taking out enemies, it was a blast. And so I think for the most part, this game does feel like a Metroid Prime game, a traditional Metroid Prime game, for about 75% of the gameplay. And then I think there's about 25% so far where it's very clear they're trying to do new things, I think personally, to try to reach a bigger audience. So is it a kind of game you'd like? I don't know. Is it a Metroid game I expect to be divisive? Well, from what I can tell on the internet, it's already that so far. But all I can tell you is that I'm really enjoying it. The game looks gorgeous, the music is sick, and it seems to be getting better as it goes deeper into the game. With that being said, I'll probably do a halfway review, and then I'll do a full game review as soon as I'm done with it. And then, of course, we'll do story videos, dig into the lore, that sort of thing. If you haven't started Metroid Prime 4, and you're wanting to get caught up on the story leading up to it, then you can watch my video that's nearly an hour long going deep into the lore and the story of the Metroid Prime trilogy. Now technically, you don't have to know the story from the Metroid Prime trilogy in order to play Metroid Prime 4 and really enjoy yourself. But with that being said, it is still a part of Samus' story, so for those of you who are interested, you can go ahead and check that out, and I'll have a link to that at the end of this video. So thanks for watching as always, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Metroid and Zelda content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.